What is up, Nintendo Land? Welcome to the Nintendo Open Air Podcast. We're going to start things out tonight with some follow-ups from previous episodes. And of course, the one that's freshest on everyone's mind is the recent Splatfest Demo. So did everybody get a chance to play it for at least a bit?
I did.
I spent a few minutes. Yeah, same here. Not much, just enough to go, oh yeah, that's Splatfest. That's a new map. And yeah, there's lots of noobs out there. Yay. And then, I think I had to go off and do something else at that point. But I got about 20 minutes in, 3 or 4 rounds.
That's about what I did. I think I got past whatever the first rank was, but I got interrupted about 30 minutes in.
They always come into worst time. You could have no plans for weeks and then, oh yeah, it's Splatfest time. I actually downloaded the Japanese version so I could play because I had doubts whether I would be around for the American one. And I played through it almost the entire time. And I can definitely say the connection was better on the Japanese side. Of course, I think we all pretty much thought that.
You think it was just volume, or you think it's...
It could have been. I know there was a lot of non-Japanese players because you've seen all these people, that had like JP at the end of their name, or would just be like a name and then it'd say Japan, or American names or English names, I should say. I don't know, but during the North American version, I did get quite a few disconnects, especially in the lobby.
Well, given how few switches are actually out there at this point, that's pretty worrisome, right? I mean, Japan's got 500,000 switches sold, so of course that's not going to be a problem, even if a bunch of foreigners jump into their game. Over here in the U.S., how many do we have? Like, how many? I don't know what hard numbers are out right now, but aren't we in the ballpark of 2 million out here?
Yeah, I think over 2 million.
So let's be generous and say it's 3 million consoles total with a bunch of foreigners joining in and whatever, there should be no excuse for connection problems. I mean, when the install base is still pretty low at this point, so that's worrisome. But again, hopefully they're beta testing stuff and there's reasons that it's problematic. I only had 1 or 2 myself where it would just, and it wasn't in mid-match or anything. It was right when you're joining the match and you're waiting for the opposing team, and then it just drops on you. That happened to me a couple times, yeah.
It seems like it entered a period of time. I don't know how late it was at that point, but it's just like it would happen, 2 or 3 times in a row, and then you'd be okay for a while, and then it happened again.
Oh, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Your online service that was supposed to launch with Splatoon is now launching in 2018. And I'm still convinced that we're playing on the same servers that we were playing on the Wii U. I don't think anything's changed or been upgraded on the back end. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain they have not. Like, the infrastructure is not in place, and that's why they're pushing it back. The official launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. That's what I do.
That and they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They just don't. It's, 10 years other consoles have been building out this infrastructure, and Nintendo's like, all right, we're going to do online in 2017. Let's get started. It's like everybody else has server farms in like literally on every continent. Right? They have it's kind of a joke. I just remember, and again, I refer back to World of Warcraft a lot, but it's just something I have a lot of history and experience with. But I know, for example, that buddy of mine that worked there, he had to fly out to Sweden or Switzerland to work in their data center over there for WoW. He had to fly to Korea for the same thing. Right? They build out these gigantic server farms in data centers all over the world to serve different regions for online play.
Mm-hmm.
And, the consoles all work the same and everything else. Nintendo's just like, You know what I mean? Up until recently, Nintendo just pretended that anything outside of Japan, North America, and Europe simply didn't exist in the world. Right?
They're probably still like that.
Yeah.
I know some of their products are hard to find in certain countries.
Yeah, I know. Like for example, in Indonesia, everything there is kind of gray market, smuggled in type import stuff. Not smuggled in per se, but you know what I mean. It's like when I would try to sign up for certain services, and it's like, oh no, your country just isn't available. It's basically you live in, right, even on the 3DS, if you lived in South America or somebody you street passed somebody from South America, no region. No, you're right. It has no map. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this person's from this country. But there's a
Mexico
lot of
doesn't have a
countries that
map.
just, yeah, that's, which is asinine. I've got
Like-
I've got like 4 different people from different regions of Mexico that are named. How
Yeah.
hard is it to upload like a little 2K black and white map image like they have for all the others? It's
Yeah.
really, it just feels, I don't know, it feels like it would have taken developers an extra couple, half a day to add maps for the rest of the regions. But no, why
I
bother?
actually had someone like from Australia or New Zealand, and they didn't have a map. I was like, Australia? How hard can Australia be?
I mean, yeah, it's, hey guys, it's like, one of the, it's a continent.
Yeah, exactly. There's not that many areas.
Yeah, it's a giant landmass that's divided up relatively easily. Yeah, it's like there's no excuse for that. But they just don't, I don't see them. Even in 2018, they'll have a big server farm in Japan, which they probably already do, and then they'll have one over here. Maybe they'll have something in Europe. But it's, you know what I mean? It's like they're getting in on the ground floor for stuff that's been around now for a dozen years. Unless they're, you know what I mean? Unless they're piggybacking on something already existing and jumping way past it, I still see this as the console that's underpowered, that the online's laughable compared to the competitors. I don't know. It's just frustrating to see them kind of going down the same road. It really looks like they are. It really looks like we shouldn't expect too much from the online service.
Yeah. I think if they had really good online service too, people would forgive the problems with the Switch. As far as like underpowered and stuff.
Yeah, totally. If they could, if you could point to something that Nintendo puts out and say, this is perfect, that'd be great. But you never can.
No.
Right? It's always
Those
like,
amiibos
this is
are
great.
great.
But
I'm thinking Amiibos.
yeah, there's always a big but. Amiibos are great. They're useless, but they're great.
They look cute on the shelf.
Yeah, they're basically statuettes that you could occasionally get some completely pointless little item out of or something, but they're not what they presented them as when they first released them. They still haven't quite figured out what to do with them. It's like, is it DLC or is it not? Some people are going to complain about having to buy a figure to get DLC. Other people are going to buy the figure regardless of the DLC. So I think it seems like they're trying to juggle all of that, and they just need to settle on something and go for it. Because, right, it just seems like every new game, it's like, okay, well, what can we do with Amiibo in this game? You know what I mean? There's no overarching logic to it. It's just kind of on a game-by-game random basis. The same way Street Pass was, and why it didn't work until they had Me Plaza, right?
Right.
Street Pass on a game-by-game basis, just at least around here, there wasn't enough traffic for it to matter for any one game, and B, even when it did for like Smash Brothers, which everybody has, or Mario Kart, what did that get you? That got you. You could unlock trophies. Yay! Right? It was a pretty half-ass thrown in kind of mini game, I thought, and that's most of them have felt
common
that way.
Animal Crossing furniture.
That's true.
I have to say, that was probably the best usage of Street Pass was Animal Crossing.
Did you guys get a lot of hits with that though?
I did actually. I did get a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
yeah,
with
I mean
the
here and there.
I think
It
with
took
the
quite a while though.
yeah, with the Animal Crossing community, I think you had people that were playing longer and people that were more dedicated. You know, there's other people out there, you know, possibly even in your area that says, "Yeah, I want to street pass somebody."
Yeah. And then came along McDonald's, Starbucks, and Best Buy.
Mhm.
One thing that we hadn't touched on yet about the Splatfest demo is the ban policy that they announced, which isn't really related to the demo per se, but
It was discovered in the demo. So.
Okay, so it did. So the demo was doing it. That's how people figured it out.
This is the way I understood it. It was one person had a screen cap of the screen that says, "You've been temporarily banned," and it's for disconnects, and it doesn't matter if you're doing it on purpose or if it's your internet service dropping.
Well, here's the thing: if you're playing Turf Wars with strangers, fine, but that's a really ham-fisted way to deal with it. Like, for example, Mo. We know Mo's connection is flaky. So if he gets disconnected a few times, it's on us, right? Right. His disconnections is only hurting us as a team. So if we're just playing team ranked battle and he keeps getting disconnected, I don't see the problem. I don't see why he needs to be banned. Maybe if he tries to go play Turf Wars, they put him into some weird rotation with other disconnectors. But if he joins our team, he's on our team. And if he gets dropped, we take the hit. You know, it's our choice, right? That's how it should be. Because now if he's warming up and like, hey, we're going to go play some ranked battle, he's warming up, he gets disconnected a couple times. We get a 4-person, he gets disconnected for his 4th time in our first match. Well, our night's screwed, or we go 3-on-4. You know, it seems like a really poor execution of. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but that just seems a very poor way of doing it, especially when we know the game has connection issues.
Go. I was just going to say it's been a long time since I've played, you know, basic turf war and stuff, you know, from a new perspective. But was rage quitting really ever that big of an issue? I mean, I know it happened, but I mean, did anybody say like my night is ruined because somebody was rage quitting?
No. Or got rage quit on like repeatedly? No. Like, yeah, every once in a while in a match, especially in turf war, someone would just get pissed and drop or whatever, or just start, just stand on the pad. And A, it's turf war, so it is what it is. B, if somebody does it to you, if somebody is in the same match with you and keeps doing it, you just drop out of turf war and hop back in, and you're in a different rotation, and problem solved. So I don't. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, you bring up about people standing on the start point, not moving. I don't know that this will actually affect them because technically they're still connected to the match.
Yeah, well, Smash had a thing where it would block people for not moving. I remember.
I don't see how that would benefit you in Smash unless you found some corner where no one could touch you.
I think it was just for people who start a match and do nothing.
Gotcha.
Keep
Maybe you gain something like with Splatoon in the old days. You would still get rank if you just stood on the pad, and then they changed that. That being said, I still see people sitting on the pad. It is what it is.
Yeah,
that happened in demo several times. You'd start and it's like, oh, there's somebody standing there.
Yep. And then you turn around real quick after a few seconds, and yep, they're still standing there. It's not just lag; they haven't moved.
I always shoot them a few times.
Press come on over and over. Not that they would be listening, but it makes you feel better.
I did actually use like the Booyah button in Splatfest. I like kind of like the new Ink Strike thing because it like locks on to 4 people.
The Tenta missiles, is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, I think that's what they are. The little rocket launcher.
Is that effectively the replacement for Ink Strike?
I think so. I think it's
I guess I
not the
didn't
exact
realize
same.
that.
Or is it the splat down where you jump up in the air and it does the same
No,
kind
not
of
that
stuff?
one. This was I think the Splat Dualies have this rocket launcher thing where it locks on to 4 targets at once, and then you can release it when you're ready.
Right.
No, the dualies have the hover, the jetpack.
Yeah. That's right. Which I can't never remember the name of, but I think everybody knows hovery jetpack thing.
Yeah, I don't. I know I was Splat Dualies, but it was It was a different thing.
Oh, you had a different special, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to upload a screenshot. I probably got one.
I'm trying to remember. I know that Splashdown was definitely the roller. Oh, wait a minute. I think it's the Tinatech that had the little flying hovercraft thing going on, jetpack thing. I think it was the Tinatech instead of the Dualies.
No, it's definitely the dualies because that's the whole thing. Because you have the 2 guns that are your 2 jets.
I remember the Dualies having it in that first demo.
It definitely had it in the Splatfest because I chose dualies.
You chose Dualies.
I went with Tinatech in the Japanese version, and I'm pretty sure that was the special for it. Yeah, and I know for certain Splashdown was on the roller.
Well, I could have been using maybe I wasn't using the dualies the whole time and didn't realize it, but I was certain I was.
Hmm.
It's possible.
Starting to think I never took a picture when I was actually playing this time.
See, we're all just getting old and senile is the problem.
You weren't supposed to bring that up.
I wasn't supposed to bring up that we're all old and senile.
Well, I guess
You're the
everybody knows it.
you're the spring chicken around here, Jason.
Yeah, I guess so, but not by very much. So, did anybody actually play the new Moray Towers?
I did.
What did you think of the little zipline things?
I like it, but at the same, I mean, I back when we first talked about how the zip lines weren't in the first game,
Mhm.
the multiplayer, the mechanics of them are kind of exactly like I expected, except the timer, which killed me once, right? Because you when you hit it, it fires up, and then you only have like 5 or 10 seconds to use it before it goes away, right?
Right.
So I was on it when it vanished, and good old Moray Towers. There's lots of open space to fall out of.
That's right.
So that was an annoyance to me, but otherwise I was like, oh, this is awesome because I like the little shortcut up to that upper platform. I hate the shortcut to the lower platform because all that is just like direct road for the enemy to get up onto your platform. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I think of that. It got me more kills though.
Well, I found later in the demo, I think people were catching on that you could shoot people that were in the process of going across that, and it kind of got hazardous to go across.
Yes. I only tried to use it when there was nobody around, and I still fell to my death.
But that's your signature move.
Yeah, it is, especially on Moray. Can you change? Did you guys figure out if you can take it over while somebody's on it?
I never could get concrete evidence on it. I did see people, like somebody would go out on it and then somebody would shoot it. And I thought it ended the timer sooner, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I couldn't quite. Yeah, I kept trying to play with it, but I didn't play enough, and I couldn't quite. Yeah, figure out how that mechanic all worked. But what I was trying to do is when they had it, I was trying to change it back to my color as quickly as possible to see if I could make people fall out of it. But I never actually saw it happen.
Yeah, still cool. And I hope they bring some of the other features that were in, single player, and some of the new features that are in single player over to online stages.
Well, they're gonna 2 years of updates, right?
That's
They
right.
better have some. They better have some good stuff in the pipe.
Have they said if it's all free?
I
That's a
thought.
good point.
I thought
Sure.
something kind of gave that impression, but you know Nintendo with verbiage, so
Yeah,
my
it just seems like
assumption
a
could be wrong.
Prime. You know what though? Since it's online, I don't know. I mean, I guess they had to work that in Mario Kart with on Wii U, where some people would have some stages and other people wouldn't.
Yeah, right. If I remember correctly, well, I didn't play a lot of online. Come to think of it, I'm trying to think. When I played with a bunch of people online, I assume not everybody had the DLC, but we were playing all the DLC tracks. But I didn't, do a roll call to see, hey, who's got the DLC.
Yeah, I
But I
would
guess I
assume if you're
kind of
playing
assumed.
online, you probably have it.
Yeah, I'm sure we all have all the stages. They're just not unlocked or whatever.
I'm pretty sure after the first set of DLC for Mario Kart 8 come out, I was playing with someone who had not purchased it yet, and they were able to play on that because I set up the room. But I don't know how that works. General online, that was playing with friends. So
That just seems like it would be too much of a headache, to have to manage that from Nintendo's perspective. Who's got it? Who doesn't? How do you know what I mean? Certain
right.
matches just you can't have. Like, oh, I want to play with my friend. I picked the wrong track. Right. So I think they just wanted to avoid that. And on the flip side, theoretically, it's marketing. Right. Theoretically, if somebody's playing, they're effectively playing a demo if they can only play it online and not themselves. So they're going to be right. If you're playing online on a track you don't have, you're immediately at a disadvantage.
Right.
So I figure that's just Nintendo looked at that as free marketing.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we should probably move on to another demo. And I know this one is especially important to Momo, which was Hey Pikmin. So what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was all right. I'll buy it.
Really? I thought you were less impressed with it.
I mean, I'm not super impressed with it, but my kid likes Pikmin, and I like Pikmin, so I'll buy it. There's not much else doing right now.
And all of these weird little one-off side scrollers that Nintendo puts out do seem to be pretty good. It's like they got a bunch of guys locked in a basement somewhere that just all they do is side-scrolling games. Here we go. We got a new one. What character are we going to slap on this one?
Yep.
It'll probably be annoying to collect the collectibles in it.
Yeah, even in the demo, you could see where you're going to have to come back with different abilities or powers to get certain items.
Or
You gotta-
miss a certain doorway or something like in Kirby.
They make you have to go back. You can't get that door until you go back. I hate that crap. Like that was cute the first 50 games that did that, right? Where you pass a little door and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna have to remember to come back here hours later when I
Hey,
have
man.
the super jump or something.
That's
Yeah.
called Metroid, and you love it.
No, it wasn't. Metroid had a big area that you could wander through, and yeah, there was a little bit of backtracking, but they really kind of kept it to a minimum. Right? There was a central hub world that you spent a lot of time kind of going back and forth through, but all the other subworlds not so much. Right? You basically go to Nowhere Fair to beat the boss. You go to Brinstar to beat the boss. No, Brinstar's the main one. What's the other one? The hideout. Right? The two hideouts. You're only in there to go find the boss, kill it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Are you talking
Really.
about the original Metroid, or are you talking about Prime?
Well, I'm talking about OG Metroid. Prime, on the other hand, you guys are probably right.
That's what really turned me off on the series. It was the first time I played, and it's like, for the third time, I'm going back over the same space I was in, and that's like,
Yeah,
That
in
didn't turn it
Prime
on
you could
again.
really get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I think every Prime game I've played, I'm lost somewhere, and it's saved there, and I've never gone back to it.
Pikmin will be
Like,
a
wait, what am I supposed
little
to do
easier to see
next?
where you're supposed to go.
I presumably, and I don't know. I just never got
Did
as
you
excited
download the
about the
demo?
Prime games. Pikmin? No.
Did you
Give
try
it
it,
a
Max?
chance.
I did not. I forgot all about it.
Oh, I knew about it.
Jeez.
It's really hard to motivate myself to bust out the 3DS anymore until the new Metroid, of course.
I still play Pokemon Shuffle and such.
It's not like I don't have a big backlog on this thing, and hey, now I got all these Pikmin short movies to watch.
They're good.
Yeah, they
Well,
look cute.
It'll inspire you to download the demo, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't download
Yeah.
the Miitopia demo, none of it. Oh, but they gave me icons for it on my home menu anyway.
Yeah, there was
Oh,
a new Miitopia demo out. I think it was this week, maybe just a couple of days ago. And it was basically you could add in your friends and make trailers for the game, which I did laugh at quite a bit more than I thought I would.
Yeah, that just showed up when I opened my 3DS. I'll have to check that out.
And that's the one I removed.
So, since we're jumping to a 3DS game, hey Pikmin, I know we had some other 3DS subjects skipping around the list. Like I noticed all the news articles are intentionally vague about new 3DS production ending, right?
Yeah.
The headlines to get clicks, but it's just the little one that was kind of vaporware anyway. I mean, it did come out, but it was always kind of the secondary item to the XL.
Yeah. It was a specialty item.
Especially in the U.S.
yeah.
So is anyone
Yes.
anyone inclined to run out and grab one now that they know they're being discontinued?
No.
You'd have to import it.
No, they don't have any in the stores here.
Oh, US is just already cleared out.
We never really got that one when
Yeah.
it went to the new 3DS.
Well, no, we
we-
got an Animal Crossing bundle with it, didn't we?
Yeah.
No,
There was a Happy Home Designer one, I think, right? And then,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Happy Home Designer.
You're right.
and then they did the little Best Buy Black Friday one.
I think
Seems like there
Walmart
was
had
another
one.
one.
But they only did the one color. You know, it comes in black and white, and we only got one here.
We only got the white one ever.
I don't remember if it was the white or the black. I know we only got the one. I don't
Well, I
think
know
we
they
ever
have-
got the other color.
Well, I think the Black
Happy
Friday
Home
one was black, but
I'm thinking the black was what we got.
Animal Crossing I thought was a white one, but maybe not.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah,
we
it
got
was.
both.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
the
I'm
Animal
wrong.
Crossing one was white, but that was like every one of them was a one-off deal. Like there was never any regular stock for it,
True.
right?
Yeah,
There was the Animal Crossing bundle, and then there's which I guess I'd completely forgotten about the Black Friday one. But other than that, like I never saw them on shelves
Mm-mm.
at a Best
No,
Buy.
I'm-
They just have whatever the current model of the XL was.
yeah, I saw the Happy Home Designer one, and I think that was it. But I think most people just bought that one so they could have the small 3DS.
Yeah, like my wife at first was kind of fired up and jealous of my XL until she sat down and tried to play it and decided it was just too big and heavy and less convenient than the smaller one.
There seem to be fans of both. And some people really like the 2DS as well.
Those people suck.
There are people out there, even though I just don't get there's just a mono speaker and stuff like that. But some people say it's real comfortable to hold for them. And some people with smaller hands, I think, prefer the smaller system. So it's sad to see it go, but it'll save them money in production.
Yeah, they've just got too many lines out there now. right? They got Switch and all of its associated hardware. They've still got the new 3DS XL.
Mhm.
Now they've got the 2DS XL, and I assume those cheapo 2DSs are still going to be floating around out there just because it's, such a cheap item and a good entry point for a little kid, kind of, right? No folding. That was like a whole big selling point of the 2DS was it didn't have the folding lids, so there was nothing to break there.
Yes, I saw some in the store over the weekend, so they're still around.
Same here.
Yeah, buddy of
Yeah.
mine picked one up on refurb on Nintendo site. They're up there too. So I think they're about as cheap in the stores new now as they were back then on refurb, though.
Yeah, because they're $80 with Mario Kart 7.
Yeah, see, yeah, I think refurb was $60 and probably still is just by itself. It's like, well, why would you bother?
It makes you wonder, who's going to pay 170 or whatever for the new 2DS XL?
I don't think I know anyone who has said they're wanting to pick that up.
Mm-mm.
And if I did know someone, they'd probably be buying it as a collector's item because that's
Yeah,
The people who really like it are the people who got a free review copy.
How do I get on that list?
I don't know. I'd like to be on it.
yeah. I think the podcast needs to be on that list, but I guess we'd have to hate on Nintendo a little less.
Then it wouldn't be our podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, they can't really advertise 2DS XL. Who's it for?
Yeah, it's true.
Not
It's for
us. Yeah, it's kind of like the Microsoft's new Xbox. Who is that for?
Yeah.
Like that, anybody who would pay $500 for a console would pay $700 for a gaming PC that's more capable. There will be some people out there. There's I know those. Usually those people I refer to as douchebags that will just buy it because it's the biggest, baddest console. And then I'll compare it to my pretty modest gaming PC, to be quite honest. And I would probably blow it out of the water. And I didn't spend a lot. Like I bought like the mid-level video card and everything, and it's still, cost me more than the $500 Microsoft is asking, but it's like, what I mean? Anybody who's in that market just isn't going to go for that.
Other than for bragging rights.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. But unfortunately, there's really nothing you can buy from Nintendo that gives you bragging rights. Right? Other than I got it when nobody else is able to buy it. That's the only way you get bragging rights with a Nintendo product. It's just the artificial scarcity, but it's never like, wow, this is more powerful than the last Nintendo console. And that's about it. Not to crap on the Switch too much. I mean, it's got 3 times the GPU power of the Wii U, which surprisingly had a modest increase over the Xbox 360 and PS3 per that Foundry breakdown, which surprised me. Did that surprise anybody else? Kind of jumping topics here, back to the Wii U. Right, there was always the debate: was it really more powerful than an Xbox 360 and PS3, or was it not quite, or whatever? And at least in the GPU category, it seemed like it was, a step above. It still wasn't a full generation over, but it was mid-generation, right? It was more powerful than those 2 consoles of that period.
Right.
And now the Switch is. The Switch is 30%. The GPU is 30% less powerful than the OG Xbox One. So to me, but that puts it squarely in this generation. But it's
Close
still,
enough.
but it is still, as always, the weakest console. Right? Sony and Microsoft have literally now just dozens and dozens and dozens of TV streaming apps. Like Microsoft and Sony probably too, but I know, for example, Microsoft, you can just watch live TV through your Xbox, right? It just will plug into all those same cable streams that you can get through your PC. So it's really getting to the point where that can become, that's your cord cutter box, right? It's more capable than an Apple TV or a Google Chromecast. And partially because they don't have any competition, right? Apple TV won't get Amazon Video because Amazon won't, you know what I mean? It's a competition between Apple and Amazon. The other ones, it's, the consoles are just doing it a lot better these days, except for Nintendo.
But it's portable.
And you can watch nothing on it yet.
Unless you're in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
Or
you're in Japan.
you're like Jason.
Yeah, I did download Nico Nico on my Switch from the Japanese eShop. I could say it was confusing and weird, which is kind of like what a lot of Japanese stuff is, I guess. As I was telling the guys earlier, I kind of agreed to something. I have no idea what I agreed to, but I watched videos. So, videos.
I'm sure you
games I've
agreed
never
to
seen.
not access it from outside of Japan.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, they should have told me that in English. So
You think so?
the numbers were in English. It said step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's like, okay. But that was it.
Can I point out?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, Jason, go ahead.
I was just going to say, while we were talking about the Switch being underpowered, there's kind of been a plethora of different games come up and giving different excuses as to why this game will not be on the Switch. And one of the most recent was probably Kingdom Hearts 3, which said, okay, we're going to release the game, and after the game is released, then we'll consider bringing it to Switch.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have seen the graphics on that trailer, though, right?
And it's pretty sweet.
Like I just don't think the Switch can handle it. They'd have to scale back a lot. Like all that Toy Story stuff, like they're now able to live render stuff that looks pretty close to the stuff that would take months to render, for the original Toy Story movie, right? The game looks as good as the first Toy Story movie now, almost. It's really close.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with Breath of the Wild, they can do a lot, but they're still not, the raw horsepower they need to put out some of those pixels and textures and shading and whatever, they're just not quite there. But again, if this game works on Xbox One, it should be a relatively minor, downgrade to get it to the Switch. It's just, I think for a lot of development houses, they look at the Xbox One as their absolute barest minimum, and they build from there, right? And so now they have to kind of reshuffle and say, okay, well, now we've got a slightly lower end console. Do we want to bother? And especially when it still doesn't have a very big install base, no. But once this thing, and I think, do we all agree this seems to be on track to at least have an install base comparable to 3DS, probably better?
I think comparable to Wii U.
Yeah. I'm being more conservative, but yeah, I think it's definitely got that potential. But right, once there's a certain critical mass of Switches out there, stuff will just start showing up. Same thing with the 3DS, right? It took a year of the 3DS being out there and Nintendo putting out Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 before people really started buying it, and then all of a sudden we started seeing all these ports of Resident Evil and whatever the hell else I got on here, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Those 2K titles like wrestling and whatnot are going to be the real tellers, because if those don't sell well, third parties might be scared off.
Yeah, I think they're still in that danger zone there where, we've got some third-party support, but if there's not consoles to sell the games, it's going to be just like the Wii U.
And the scary thing I see about third-party ports is a lot of them I think are coming out too early. Right now, the vast majority of people who own Switches are Nintendo fanboys and girls who may or may not care about FIFA or WWE or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't generally buy sports games. I'm just not a sports game guy. At least not since like the Intellivision.
I had
Or,
FIFA
well,
for Wii U.
see,
Yeah.
there you go. If you're into it, and I know I have other friends that always get the FIFA games, but I just, you know what I mean? It seems like if they put the thing out and there's let's say there's 4 or 5 million Switches out by then, and they put it out and let's say a quarter of those people buy it, I think they'll consider that a fail,
Yeah.
right? if they hit maybe 1 million worldwide, I don't see them going, oh yeah, then we got to make more of those. But if they put it out when the install base is 20 or 30,000, it'd be a whole different story. So it's a catch-22, right? We got to get some third-party stuff out there so that people will jump on board, but then, you know, not too much, or the developers are like, why the hell are we putting this stuff out if there's only this many people to buy it?
Right.
Right.
As we've mentioned before, all the software is on the shelves, so it's plentiful for those that do have a Switch.
Yeah,
Software's
of those
never been
5
a
or
problem.
6 titles.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
It's
there's
good. I
more
mean,
than
they're
that
doing
now.
okay.
We got boxed
Yeah, they
versions
are.
of indie titles. That's padding it. Yeah, but it's, if you're talking AAAs, you're right. There's, how many AAAs do we have on the Switch now? 3?
I don't even think you can. I don't know if you count Minecraft, but I don't even think you can get that physically yet.
That's true. I guess you could count
I don't know.
Is Minecraft really a
It's in
AAA
between.
title? Yeah, Minecraft is an indie title that outgrew itself immensely, but I don't know if you could ever really call it. You know what I mean? It's not a big budget title, no matter
No, but
what
it's a
Microsoft
big
wants
earner.
to think about it.
It's made a lot of money though.
It's made a hell of a lot of money for that guy. But yeah, it's just, we're 6 months in now. We're 5 months in. How many months in are we? 5 months in.
When did it come out?
4.
We're
Four
just
and a
4
half.
months in.
March?
Yep.
Yeah, four
I
and a
guess
half.
almost
is the
5.
Beginning of March. So we're 4.5 months in, and I'm excited for Splatoon in a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I assume most of us are. Mo, are you still not sure?
Yeah, I mean, I probably will. I don't know.
Like, from what I've seen, there's enough here to that if they want to call it a sequel, I'll buy it, just barely. I think.
It's something
what
to
is everyone's
play.
opinion? I'm now leaning on that whole 1.5 to 2 question. I'm leaning more on the 2.
Yeah, if I hadn't played the first game, like this would be a sure thing though.
If we hadn't played the first game so much, because we were
Right.
still playing until like last September, October. We were playing pretty regular, if my memory serves.
Did we quit that long ago? I thought we were playing after that, but maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe it was after that. I mean, it's not been that long ago that we were still playing,
Yeah.
several nights a week.
I still never got my main account to 50 though.
I did. But I never got S+.
No, none of us hit
Nah.
S+. Yeah, I'm not even sure that T made it to S+.
Yeah. And she's good.
But yeah, I'm hoping that maybe since we are experienced, that when the online is available to us, that we can be one of those early people to hit S+ and not when there's nobody else there.
Oh, yeah, race to the top before and then just stop playing.
Yeah. Switch to another account. It's like I'm S+ on that one. I
Yeah.
just quit.
I'm never playing it again.
Hop into Splatoon 1 once 2.
Yeah, there you go. Just go back to Splatoon 1.
The 5 people playing. It's like, yeah, I own those fools.
Yeah. Cream them.
That's right.
The other
Really good people.
didn't quite
Good.
catch that anyway. The other one that you were talking about, Jay, was the the lawbreaker excuse.
That's right.
With the Nintendo Switch doesn't have enough buttons. Like, I don't even get that. It's like, if you haven't seen a Switch, fine, but like, just basic logic. Like, if it had an odd number of buttons, I think that would have been big news.
Yeah,
If
that would have been the
if the Nintendo
headline.
Switch came out and it's like, hey, it only has one set of triggers or something, like, okay, but nah, dude, but like, just if you're not sure, Google Images could have told you in 5 seconds.
Yeah, if you
He
don't
was
want to make a
thinking
game for the
Wii.
Switch, then just say we don't want to make a game for the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No excuses. Just we don't want to do it. All right. I can accept that.
He
Tell
probably
me it
saw
won't
somebody
run.
playing ARMS and thought that it was like the Wii.
Oh yeah. Well, you just hold 2 sticks and there's 2 buttons on top. That's not going to work.
Why would you
Yeah, and
make
I
a
think-
statement, though, as from a representative of a company point of view, without at least looking at it?
Yeah, with just
Yeah.
that's just
Makes no
poor communication and poor marketing. It's like, hey guys, gets like if you want to be like a real company, you have to get your messaging all kind of on the same page. And somebody pointed out, by the way, the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One has fewer usable buttons than the Switch. Apparently,
Oh,
one less usable button, actually.
interesting.
So that excuse does not fly.
You even buttons, bro?
What?
Sorry.
Do we even
You
use
even-
buttons?
You
I said, do you even buttons, bro?
Not for arms.
Yeah, it's a bizarre statement in the internet age.
I want to touch back on Splatoon there since we're talking about motion controls. Did anybody notice a difference from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 in the demo?
Some's different, and I can't put my finger on it. It may just be that I haven't tweaked the settings exactly to my liking yet, but something feels different. Do you agree?
The animation is different. I mean, the game is slightly different. That it something feels not perfect, not the same as it was.
But still, it
Some
came
of the-
Still pretty close.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I said, didn't you feel like it came back pretty quickly, though, once you started playing? I mean, it was still familiar.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's familiar enough. It was a little bit of a, like, the first round or two was more adjustment than having not just played Splatoon in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just and you know what? A big part of it may be just the fact that the weight of the Wii U pad became part of your control scheme, right? The exact the exact weight of that Wii U pad, and after playing with it in your lap for 600 plus hours, like, you just know it like the back of your hand. And now all of a sudden I'm playing with the Pro controller. It's a smaller, lighter thing. That's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably the biggest difference that I felt, is just adapting to a small regular controller versus the big pad.
I think Jay plays it handheld, right?
That's right. But I did notice a problem when I started, like, with the camera orientation. It's like I was always facing the ground, and I kept finding myself having to readjust the camera over and over. And I finally just kind of overcompensated and ran with it. But I think that's what it is. I think it's the weight of the gamepad that is the difference in it, and the size as well, the shape.
Yeah, I think it makes your movements, until you get used to it, your movements aren't as smooth. Where they're just going to be jerkier and whatever. And I think you're right. You mentioned the camera reset.
Mhm.
I don't like, maybe 3 times in 600 hours I hit that button. You know what I mean? On the old one. And I I probably hit it half a dozen times during 30 minutes of Splatfest.
Did any climb up a wall this time?
Climb a wall, yeah, several
Yeah.
times.
It felt weird to me using B to keep repeatedly tapping B to swim up a wall.
You know what? By the second round on the Splatfest, I noticed it. I charged up a wall, hopped around, and was like, wait a minute, I didn't open the map.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
shocked and surprised, but it was like I just immediately after getting killed, I came off the pad and I'm running up a wall and I'm like, hey, I've adapted to the B button all of a sudden. Like it was just somehow it just happened and I didn't realize it.
Did anyone else
Yeah, we
find
figured it would.
after you open the map and you're going to super jump to someone, did anyone find it hard to see what direction the arrows were? Like I had to look at it way too hard to see what button to push to jump. Or it
I
took
was
too
using
long.
them. Yeah, I did the exact same thing, and also just the way the map layout is now. It wasn't as obvious to me where I could jump. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was you had to use a little motion control to let's jump to him, but it's just not like when you could just tap on the map, bam, done. Didn't need to worry about it. Now when I'm doing the motion control, I found myself chasing the person around the map to try to, you know what I mean?
You didn't use
You
the
can
arrow
make a
buttons?
case. Oh, go for it.
I was saying you didn't use the arrow buttons
Where?
on the Joy-Cons. You know, the
That's how you
left
pick your
Joy-Con.
person?
Yeah, there's tiny little arrows there, but they're so hard to see. They almost blend into their name. And it's
Well,
like,
and
are they
the other
up
thing
or
is,
left?
I don't want to have to look like I never had to worry about who I was jumping to in the old game, right? It was
Yeah.
just, oh, there's somebody there. That's where I'm going. Now it's like you got to look up a list. I mean, it's all of a sudden it's like I have to, let me check the database of where the people are. And yeah, it's I don't know that that irritates me. I just find myself jumping never, basically, except when I respawn.
One thing I really missed was the ability to jump back to the base. Because, before, you get in a bad situation, here comes, a roller at you, you're out of ink. You just tap the button and go back to spawn. I miss that. You just stand there and get splatted. Maybe it's in there and I just don't know how to do it, but yeah, that's the thing I probably miss the most as far as using the map.
I'm trying to remember when you brought up the map, there was a button in the corner that just said spawn point. So
Okay.
I think with a little, once we get more used to it, it looks like it ought to just be a bam bam back to the spawn point. But we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. But yeah, it looked like on the left side when you brought up the map, if I remember correctly, there was just a little button or something that said spawn point.
Okay. I'll have to watch for it because that was really helpful in the first one.
Yeah, it's still
Are you guys going digital?
Are we going digital?
Yeah.
Is that what? No.
Yeah.
I can't pay an extra $12. I just can't. That would far and away be my preferred method for getting Splatoon. And it would have been my preferred method for Tetris, Mario Kart, 1-2 Switch, ARMS. I would have preferred to have all of those on download. But by not buying those on download, I think I saved myself $50-$60.
Basically another game.
Yeah.
What if they did a Club Nintendo that was like a BMG where you get so many games for a penny or something?
Wouldn't happen.
And then buy so many games.
Nintendo would never devalue their products that way. You know that. Instead, they'll pack them in for $2 a pop into a $60 piece of hardware that nobody can buy.
Still no pre-orders for that, by the way.
I heard rumors when they first announced it that somebody had pre-orders for like a minute and they were all gone. But I haven't seen any major outlets unless I missed one.
I just don't think the US has done them yet.
Are you talking about Switch pre-orders?
No, the Super
Oh, sorry.
NES.
Super NES Classic.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I misheard there. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's all I had. I just, I wonder what they're waiting on.
So we're talking about pre-orders. I guess we should mention the demand in Japan for Switch. I thought this was pretty extreme. There was a line of
Lining
over
up.
3,000 people waiting in line to get selected via lottery to get a Switch. I think there was like 250 Switches.
In a new updated version of this podcast, we could show the picture,
That's right.
which we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, that was quite a picture, and it was worse, but not by as much as you might think, than the Best Buy line over by me when I went to pick up my Switch on launch night. It was right. Japanese people, I guess, are far more. They're just better citizens, right? So everyone's all nicely lined up. The Best Buy, right? The line was 5 or 6 people wide, so it's harder to gauge. But right, it looked a lot more like a mob. But people want it, and it ain't just in Japan. Like when I went to go get that stupid water bottle, there were hundreds of people there and waiting in line to get their stupid stamps all day to get a friggin' Nintendo water bottle.
Yep. Well,
I don't
at
know
least
what they think you could do with it.
Fill it with water.
set
I
it
mean,
on
the
the
Switch
shelf.
even.
I wonder how many bottles they actually had.
Well, that was the other thing is a buddy of mine went on the first day, and they said, "Oh yeah, he went in at like 2 p.m. or something," and they told him they'd already sold out, or they'd already gone through their daily allocation of the water bottles. So he came back the next day in the morning. But it's like, what a half-assed marketing promotion. Come check in and get a free water bottle, and then you show up, and it's mobbed. They don't have any more water bottles, and hey, we didn't tell you. You got to spend 3 hours here jumping through a bunch of hoops, playing a bunch of games you either don't want to play, already have, or have played on another platform.
I smell a lawsuit.
Right. It's like, you know what? Like, if they had explained the whole situation better, it would have been a case of, hey, let's bring some friends down, hang out, make a day of it. But it's like, oh, I'm running some errands at the mall. Let's see if I can drop by and get a water bottle. Hell no. It's like, unless you planned your day around it, it just wasn't an option. And it would have been nice if they'd been a little more clear about that.
Yeah.
Not that I really wanted a water bottle. It's just, after everything else, it's just yet another slap in the face, right? After the NES Classic, after what the hell is going on with our virtual console titles that we paid plenty of money for on 3DS, Wii U, and Wii. It's just like, oh, Nintendo's here to screw me again, yet again. Great.
I even noticed this weekend there's supposedly a Splatoon 2 demo event at GameStop, which is not really confirmed anywhere, just other than a picture of an advertisement.
Yeah.
But you have to play the game first in order to get a clear plastic cup that changes color. This is after launch of Splatoon 2.
Well, hopefully that'll mean fewer people will be lined up in front of you to get their color-changing cup.
That's right. That's definitely an upside.
It's for people who are at the mall that didn't know Splatoon was even a thing.
Yeah.
That are trying to get a free cup.
But this is Nintendo, so those people won't be able to get a free cup. The people that will be able to get a free cup are the obsessive, rabid Nintendo fan base that will mob every GameStop around the country as soon as they open. Those people will get the cups.
True.
And I know that all of us may or may not have fit in that category at some point in the past, but I don't think any of us do now, right?
No, I'm not taking off work for a cup.
No.
I'll go if there's one close by.
I forgot you worked that day. Yeah, I mean, I've got a GameStop. I mean, I don't really have an excuse. I've got like 3 game stops within a 10-minute drive of here. But
Oh.
I just don't think I'm motivated enough to do it.
Personally,
Just
I
wait
want to go.
outside. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say I want to go and complain about not getting the Splatoon Joy-Cons.
And as Mo has said in the past, they released the Splatoon 2 Pro controller with the pink and green. That's probably not going to sell very well. And then Nintendo will decide Americans just don't seem to like the colors pink or green. So we're just not ever going to release anything in those colors in America ever again.
They should at some point just have a website where you can buy custom colors that like custom order colors that they can build on demand for you.
Yeah.
I almost wish the Joy-Cons, you could just snap the case off and put a different color on it. But I know that would be...
People have been doing that, I think. Some of those custom Joy-Cons we've seen, I think they're 3D printing the plastic cases around them. Because, right, you could theoretically just take all the guts out. Speaking of Joy-Cons, I have yet to open a ticket with Nintendo for my left gray Joy-Con that won't stay seated to the console. I know I've griped about that. It just, like just now, I kind of casually dropped my Switch on the bed and it just, the angle it landed, it just popped off the left Joy-Con. Just, dropping it 6 inches onto a pillow. So it's definitely not like I don't even, if I were to try to play this and play something really intense, this would come off in my hand. I know it. And that just seems...
Another Joy-Con works. Okay.
Yeah, no, the blue one, no problem. Locks in like a champ. Doesn't go anywhere. I don't get it. I don't know what their quality control issues are, but they got them. You know what I mean? I've already had to send one Joy-Con back into Nintendo for a completely different reason.
Is it the same one that you sent in?
No, I bought the red and blue model, and I got the bad left Joy-Con with crappy signal, like noticeably bad. And so I called them, had to argue with them for about a minute or two before they finally like, all right, just send it. But now I bought a gray set after they had fixed all the initial problems with the launch Joy-Cons. I waited until like the next batch of Joy-Cons came along, and I bought the gray set, and they're great. Except now, I don't know if it was like this when I bought it or if something's happened since. I haven't had it that long, and I haven't beaten on it or anything. But yeah, I've just discovered, hey, this thing does not latch onto the console really at all. It clicks when you pop it in, right? It makes the click. Let's see. Well, you can barely hear it.
I can hear it.
Yeah, it makes the snap, but then it just pulls right off like nothing. So
it's weird.
I'm gonna have to open another ticket with them. That's their technical support, at least from my experience with the Blue Joy-Con, seems to be the last department of Nintendo left that is customer friendly. So hopefully that continues. And I'm actually gonna, like, they always, at least they gave me a survey last time. If they give me another survey, I'm gonna say that in the survey. This is the last part of your company that I respect.
You'll have to keep us updated on how things go. Because I know things have changed right since the launch of getting the quick Joy-Con replacement back. Or repair.
I'm curious because yeah, when I had to get the blue one exchanged, I got it back in I think basically I got it back in about 36 hours, which means it shipped to them. They fixed it because it was my same one. I put a sticker on it to make sure. They got it, they fixed it, they shipped it back to me like it was. Each shipment had to be like faster than overnight. Like it was bizarre.
Sure.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is.
Yeah, we'll see if it holds up now that they're past all their initial launch schmoozing, right? They had to make sure the launch went well. They didn't want people complaining about busted Joy-Cons, but now that it's off and running, Now I think I'm going to have a more traditional support experience, but we'll see. Yeah, I'll report next week.
Be interesting to see what happens. I bet you'll get it back quick. There's not a lot of switches out in the wild to be fixed.
Yeah, I hope so. I have a feeling because it's a generic gray Joy-Con, it might just be more practical for them to just refurb me one, just swap it out for one that's already repaired or whatever. But we'll see. I'll check the serial number when it goes out and comes back to see.
It's easier to swap the gray one.
Yeah, right. The gray ones seem to be the only ones there's not a shortage of.
Which is good. At least they can sell more Joy-Con if they want to.
It's true.
Gray ones that nobody wants.
To people without a Switch.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly. There's lots of Joy-Cons on my local Best Buy shelf lately. They got a good shipment in, and the Joy-Con grips and the docks and the whole 9 yards. So you could buy all this stuff for a Switch that you cannot buy. But again, I like to point out that there are still cases at my local Target, a whole shelf full of cases for the NES Classic. Like that Target got a total, I think, over the whole shipment. I talked to one of the guys. They got like a total of 6 or 8 of them, I think, over the course of like 2 or 3 shipments.
Wow.
I think there's still 2 of those cases left at my local Target.
Yeah.
I have some laying around here too.
Yeah, why are they even on the shelves, guys? Like, the only reason is maybe someone will buy it, but it just seems like, I don't know. I don't know what the relationship is between companies and whatever. You would think Target would have pulled those from the shelves and put them in some kind of clearance center or something. It's already, but unless Nintendo on the back end is, no, shh, we're going to make more, I swear. No, they're not.
Maybe they should just start doing these every Christmas, do a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo Classic.
No, what they'll do is they'll do the Super Nintendo Classic this Christmas. No one will be able to buy it again. Then they'll do, I don't think they're going to go past, I don't know. I don't see them doing a N64 Classic, but maybe.
I think it's
Definitely
kind of
not oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's of that time frame where people that grew up on the N64 are at an age they would buy it. I think we'll see an N64 Classic.
Well, I definitely think the demand is there. But right, the N64 has always been notoriously that one console that you could never quite emulate right, at least for a lot of years. Like most of those Retron things that they sell that I'm aware of play everything but N64. That one seemed really hard to do. So I have a feeling that one's going to end up being more expensive. The games are a lot bigger, so there's a lot more memory that they have to worry about.
The controller's goofy.
Yeah, the controllers. That's a good point. And big, and just right. Super Nintendo and Nintendo controllers were simple little soap bars, whereas they didn't have analog sticks. They didn't have any of that stuff. I just see the cost of an N64 Classic being, the cost of producing it being too high for them.
$200.
Yeah, that's the thing is people will pay $60 or $80. Like if an NES Classic comes out and it's 120, it's like at that point people are just going to buy a real console or not buy it at all.
Right.
Probably the latter.
Yeah. Fair chance. I don't know. I'm being pessimistic, but I just don't. It just doesn't seem like it's quite practical to do yet. Maybe in a few years' time. Maybe, after they've had their run with the first 2, they will put out a third one when the technology's there. But it just seems like if they had to increase the price of the Super NES $20, then the N64 definitely would have to see a price increase.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe it'll only come with Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. For $80.
They would sell
people
that.
would buy that. Yeah, no, people would totally buy that. It plays 2 games, but they are like the 2 biggest games to ever come out on that console. What are some other big ones? What would we include in an N64 collection besides that? GoldenEye, they wouldn't be able to get the licensing for, probably, right?
That's
Right.
true.
Not what we would include, but they would include that Castlevania 64.
Yeah, all the rare stuff would probably be off the. Well, I don't know. How does that work? Like if they did Donkey Kong 64, I guess it came out on the Virtual Console, so it could come out on the.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got the rights to that and Wave Racer and Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, that's true. Anything that Rare made
F-Zero.
for them with their own characters. Yeah.
Basically, see the N64 version of whatever was in the NES Classic and whatever was in the Super NES Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
And the Sub-Zero game.
What was that?
The Sub-Zero game.
Was that a Mortal Kombat spinoff?
Yeah, that was just Sub-Zero. It wasn't that. It was very
I
not
vaguely
good.
remember that. It was some kind of action game or adventure game or whatever.
Kind of like side-scrollery, I think, at
Mhm.
points. Yeah, there's
Miiverse.
not. I mean, there's some good. It's dying.
That's right. Wii U update has been released, and supposedly there is a message in there saying no more Miiverse.
These
Yeah.
data miners find it all.
You would think
Yeah.
Nintendo could have sold Miiverse off to some other company that figured out how to monetize it, run ads on it or something.
Mhm.
You would think, I mean, they built this
They
thing.
run ads on the mobile version.
Well, see, there you go.
And on the online
know-
version on the desktop, rather.
They built this thing up, and it's still a solid community. And I haven't seen a penis on there in quite a while, so that part's obviously working too. I just don't see, unless it's just cost of running it. But it's just Miiverse should have been there. That should have been the base of their online service. That's what they should have grown it out of. And said they're starting to kill it and do a bunch of friggin' phone apps. It's just. Ugh.
Yeah, it was really at the core. It was Nintendo's best chance of having an actual community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone used it.
And you know how Nintendo loves to have control, and it was a community they entirely controlled. I just don't, unless they looked at it as a potential PR disaster, right? If child molesters are finding kids on Miiverse or something, but there was so much in place to really, really limit your interaction anyway. I just don't.
Quick, draw me your penis.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just, it seems like they took a good thing that they could have done more with and just meh. Same thing with Street Pass.
It's more fun for the meme novelty of it, though. I mean, we used it quite a bit, but I mean, it's kind of died off on its own, I think.
Well, I mean, we eventually migrated to a more, practical chat solution.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were using it for.
But we would have never met and be talking here now if it was not for Miiverse, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Because
Well,
otherwise,
that was a fun thing to be able to do.
Yeah,
find people.
otherwise you were just a name in a game, with who could bang out a few words in Morse code. And and exactly like you're saying, Mo, I could go find you guys after playing some Steel Diver and check out your profile, let's add you, right? As opposed to I think you could add friends and block people in the game, or you could star people. You couldn't add them to your friend list. You could just star them.
You could just tell when that person was playing against you again.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, there's somebody I starred before. But otherwise, there was no real interaction with each other, other than, again, the Morse code, which was really cool. But yeah, I would not. We would not have played Splatoon together had we not had Miiverse. Almost certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people that you meet on Miiverse that you even haven't played with, but like a friend of a friend of a friend, then you become friends. And
Yeah, our whole social Miitomo group is people you brought in from various games, mostly, Jason.
yep, that's true.
When's
That's-
that
and
gonna die?
When's what gonna die?
Miitomo.
Isn't it already?
It was never alive.
It never really was, man. We had our own little community, and I'm sure there were other people that had their own little social circles, but I gotta imagine those are pretty few and far between. You know what I mean? There's some people like us out there, but I don't think
Probably
there
the
were very many people
staff at
using it.
IGN or any other video game place.
Yeah, exactly, but not normal people.
I would think not.
And if they remove getting coins from interacting on Miitomo or other mobile apps, that would pretty much kill those apps.
But what of My Nintendo? I mean, that's, what is that, 30 coins every week for logging into Miiverse?
And see, well, that was the thing is that's what killed Miitomo for me more than anything was when I discovered that those My Nintendo coins weren't worth a shit. I mean, and sorry.
Wait, when did you discover that?
When after I bought Zelda Picross and if I'm pronouncing that right, and the Wario game, and there was nothing else to buy.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh, why am I collecting these coins again? I
Well,
forget.
even Club Nintendo was like that. I mean, there was big droughts, but yeah, this one's not really paying off. Those were their show-stopping doorbusters, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They had their big. They blew their wad right at the beginning, basically, and that's it.
We thought they were just warming up.
Yeah,
They were actually cooling off.
I remember seeing so many comments on message boards and stuff like, "Oh, when this expires, I can't wait to see what's coming up in September." Because that was when
they're going to
Wario
replace
and
this with
everything
something
else.
great.
Yeah, I'm saving my coins. I saw people saying they were saving their coins and not buying the WarioWare and not buying the Picross because they were saving for what inevitably better was going to be coming along. And those people must feel rather foolish now.
That was the mentality with Club Nintendo. I mean, when it got time for updates, I was there on the site, waiting for the refresh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and even the stock stuff, it was like certain things that were up all the time that I never got around to buying, and I'm kicking myself, like the Hanafuda cards. I would have gotten those. There was always something else I wanted to buy first.
Greeting cards.
Yeah. Animal Crossing greeting cards. Yeah, the shoelaces. I would have picked up some of the shoelaces.
I mean, any of that's better than JPEGs, right?
Yeah.
It's just,
and
it's really...
The game card cases were actually awesome. They should do a Switch game card case. Something.
Yeah. For God's sakes. That can't cost them more than $1 or $2 to produce. And probably cheaper than that. And they can, give it away for some points, and it would be great. But it's to go from giant AR cards and free copies of Wind Waker HD and gold nunchucks to literally a file that you can just download off the internet for free
for a limited time.
Well, no, but I mean, as soon as anybody gets it, it's on a message board,
right?
And it's there forever. So it's just like now you're just trying to get these coins out of me for basically nothing.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Club Nintendo is they did it at the end of the year. They had the platinum rewards and stuff like that. There's nothing like that in sight.
I mean, you got that. You got that little card with whatever reward you got. It had Mario on it. It says "Thanks for playing." You don't even get that from Nintendo.
Yeah, just that dumb little card you would get in the mail with your calendar or whatever that you chose, just saying, "Hey, thanks for playing our stuff." We actually
just
care about you. Your daughter
just ripped up one of those cards that had Luigi on it. the other day that she found lying around.
One of your old
Club Nintendo ones.
cards.
Yeah.
Did you murder her in her sleep?
No, she's still around.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, Daddy can't replace that. But it's not worth anything either.
Exactly, except to you.
Right. Sentimental value.
I probably got more somewhere.
Yeah. I'm expecting to have lots of my things destroyed over the next year.
Got to put locks on doors.
Probably got a year before that starts happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while they just kind of lay there. You'll be all right.
Yeah, no, it's when as soon as they're mobile, then everything needs locks.
And for those who don't know, we're talking about Z is expecting his first child soon.
Impending parenthood.
Yep.
My daughter's turning 4, and she doesn't even know I have a NES or a Super Nintendo, because those are in a room that she has no access to.
Yeah. Now my stuff, I'm already planning it.
Yeah, that only works for so long.
All my console stuff is near the ground under the TV. That's going to need to all be locked away somewhere.
We'll have to do that as a topic on one of these weeks, child-proofing your Nintendo gear.
Yeah, totally. Quality of life product.
That's right. We thought it was dead, but it's still alive.
Do we know anything about it other than it is still in development?
From what I understand, it's a sleep sensor. There's another company that makes a sleep sensor exactly like it that Nintendo's just slapping their name on, from what I understand.
Oh.
That monitors your sleep and breathing pattern and tells you how you can sleep better.
Well, then how has this been in development with Nintendo for 3 years if it's just some other company's product they're slapping their name on?
It's probably a dare that they're not sure if they want to go through with or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just because Iwata was in ill health.
It might have even been before that. I mean, that
Really?
was Iwata, I guess, was kind of in that whole era of health with the Wii and the Wii Fit and stuff like that.
And see,
they expected it to be a pillar, you know?
Yeah, and I always, right, back in the old days, when we were kids in the 80s, that was the big danger is, oh no, all these kids are just sitting on their asses playing video games all day. You know, they're becoming couch potatoes. We gotta do that. And it seemed like 10 or 15 years after the fact, Nintendo took that to heart with the Wii. Was the sense that I got. But they'd already been pushing the Street Pass stuff with like the original DS, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird.
They were trying to encourage kids to get out and do stuff because that was the big thing. Is if you're sitting at home playing video games all day, you know, that's bad PR from parents.
It feels to me like they want to diversify their business, but not in a way that would be successful. Like those trading cards.
Something else to sit on the shelf at your local electronics store. And
yeah, like I don't see it like sweeping the nation. If it was that big of a deal, the original company who made it would be billionaires by now.
Nintendo right now, pretty much anything they put their name on, there's a mad run for.
Yeah.
The Nintendo George Foreman grill.
Yeah, exactly. If they were to play their cards right, they could get a mad run for their stupid sleep sensor. They totally could.
The Mike Tyson's Punch-Out grill.
Well, they make a Death Star waffle maker.
Yeah, I think right now they're kind of experimenting with what they want to put their brand on. Like Bluetooth speakers. I guess that's Pokemon Company.
Yeah, but that's, you know how that goes. That's kind of a test feeler for the rest of Nintendo, I think. Because they're still pretty tied to Nintendo, right? They're effectively a spin-off company, right?
Well, they're a third Nintendo.
Yeah, but how did they begin? Didn't Nintendo just spin off Pokemon as its own company?
I have no clue.
I've never been clear on that.
Possible.
Are they Nintendo or are they something else?
Like, yeah, as I understood, and I could be wrong about this, but at least as far as I could piece together, it seemed like Game Freak existed. It was a co-development, for Pokemon, and then when Pokemon got huge, the Pokemon company spun off as kind of a joint venture between Game Freak and Nintendo. Where it all lays these days, I don't know. Is Game Freak still its own independent company? I don't know. But that's at least as I understood how it went, and I could be wrong about that. But it does seem like, right, Pokemon Go seemed like the test bed for Mario Run. And I don't know. It seems like I could see that where they're going to test Pokemon on various products and see, if they feel like it burns up the brand or not before they go with their crown jewels of Mario and Zelda.
My mom still has some old Pokemon Welch's grape jelly jars.
Ooh.
That's cool.
She's got a Meowth. That's what holds her toothbrushes.
You know what? Yeah, I've seen. I'm trying to remember where I've seen them. In local specialty shops that have like Japanese import stuff. I have seen hand lotions with Pokemon on them.
Oh.
Get a little Squirtle on you.
Yeah, but they had different scents associated with different Pokemon. I'm trying to think. There was I think it was a Jigglypuff, and it was like peach scented.
Yeah, that sounds very Japanese.
Yeah, but they're out there.
I mean, back when I was growing up, I've got like a Super Mario pencil pouch and stuff like that. I mean, they had cereal and stuff. So, I mean, they did go kind of to the max back then and put their name and brand on everything. And then it just kind of shrunk up.
And then they kind of pulled it back. I think they decided, hey, we're overexposing it and you know what I mean? I think they decided to go, okay, now we got to limit how we put this stuff out. Kind of like Disney goes back and forth that way too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of
have Nintendo coloring books yet.
No, that's true. But I'm thinking about Kingdom Hearts, right? Like prior to I remember when Kingdom Hearts first came out, it was a big deal that Disney characters were playable in a video game.
Or that many of them.
Yeah, like all these core Disney characters, from different Disney properties. And now it's totally commonplace. And there was the Infinity stuff and everything else. But prior to that, that was not Disney's bag. Well, and Nintendo did Smash Brothers, but it's still a Nintendo game. You know what I mean? It's still wholly owned and controlled by Nintendo, whereas this is really a Square Enix project that Disney signed off on. It just Disney loosened it up at some point, and Nintendo tightened it up, and now seems to be loosening it up again.
I think they're just looking to make $1 in these weird ways, though. It's like they're looking to make $1 any way they can, except by selling products that people want.
Yeah.
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 I mean, they'll do okay on T-shirts and stuff, but why not put a product out and see how well it sells and for how long it'll sell? I understand you don't want a bunch of stuff on the shelf, but it's going to be a long time before you get to that point.
Well, the NES Classic, where's the problem in selling that? Maybe they decided, oh, we shouldn't be selling 30 games for $60. I mean, that's the only logic I can think of.
But then why do it again?
Well, it's more expensive and it has fewer games now.
And it makes people talk about Nintendo at Christmas time.
Well, sure, but it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like the product kind of was too good to be true for the price and what Nintendo's dropping. Like, Nintendo's never been that free with their old properties, right? They've never put out a package of 30 of them for $60. Hardware aside, if they would never put out a $60 Wii U disc with 30 of their games on it.
Obviously not.
They did. That's just, it was so unlike them that I guess I should have been suspicious from the get-go. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't see the harm in selling it. If they wanted to cut the game total down or whatever, like if there were only 15 games on it, I don't think it would have hurt sales one bit.
No.
You know, just put something out and actually let friggin' people buy it.
Yeah, shift units however you can.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's business. That's how business is supposed to work. But not.
There will come a day when someone will look at buying Super Mario Brothers, the original game, and laugh and be like, "I'm not paying for that." And we're probably getting close.
Yeah, I think we're getting close. Everyone, I mean, piracy is what it is, and I you know, obviously we don't support it, but that ROM, everybody has come across that ROM on the internet at some point. I mean, it's just Nintendo's doing what they can to try to squeeze a few bucks out of people here and there who want to be legit and pay for a legit copy, but like at some point, guys, yeah, you're just gonna have to include it in a package and, you know, revere it as your historical masterpiece. But you know what I mean?
It should be an Easter egg in the console menu.
Exactly.
Really, if you're selling nostalgia, there is a time limit on nostalgia. Some kid who's 18 now didn't grow up with Super Mario Brothers and really doesn't care if there's a $5 price barrier.
Yeah, no, you and I are, most of us are in that age group, and we're getting burnt out on it. And anybody younger than us doesn't care. They don't have that nostalgia vibe for it.
It's like Slinky. You only buy it for your kid because you had it.
Yeah, and
But the new kids don't care.
Mario, what it's going to do, the new kids will download the ROM, check it out, just because everybody wants to see the first Mario game. It's, you know, it's a historical curiosity. So that's what people will do. They'll download the ROM, they'll play it for 20 minutes and go, okay, now I've seen the first Mario game, and that's it, and then they'll move on. I don't.
Yeah, it's an iconic look, but it's no more iconic than Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm. That being said, how many of us own Super Mario Brothers original on Wii U?
I think I do.
I don't think I do.
I don't think I do either.
Oh,
I think I got
okay.
But I do have it on 3DS and on Wii, I think.
Okay, well then there you go. See that's where I was going next. Was I have it on Wii and Wii U because I did the upgrade, but I made a point never to buy the same game on both 3DS and Wii U, so I do not. So my virtual console selection is all split. You know, I got random stuff on the 3DS. Like people log into my Wii, hey, where's all your Zelda games? Oh, those are on the 3DS. And, you know, people coming from other consoles are just aghast that I just don't automatically get it on the Wii U when I buy it on the 3DS. But no, that's Nintendo world.
Well, that's what's weird is other companies do that with some of their games on Nintendo systems where you can cross-buy 3DS and Wii U, just not Nintendo.
Yeah, that's so maddening. I have half a dozen little indie titles that were...
Wait, didn't they do... They did Mario on the Move, I think.
I think you got a discount.
The minis.
I think you got a discount.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think it was a discount.
Yeah,
it wasn't
quite. It wasn't quite a full cross play, but I think you got the other one for half price or something. But it wasn't quite a full gimme. Yeah, I mean again, the indie games proved that there's no technical reason it can't be done. Right? The account's linked up. As soon as I bought it on one, I go to my eShop on the other, and here you go, download for free. So like,
I'm not giving you $10 worth of games for $5.
$10 worth of the same game for
the
price of one copy of the game. Yeah,
can't do it. But as soon as you log into your Switch, all of a sudden we can see all your Wii U friends and your 3DS friends.
Yeah, but not your games. I think we're going to be waiting until after Christmas to get any hard news on it. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they
I think
push
they're-
online to 2018. I have a feeling we're not going to see even any virtual console before Christmas, or any classic Nintendo games in whatever format they choose to,
Well, now I'm worried because
drizzle
they'll
them on
have
us.
like Super Mario 3 with online functionality. So will they not want to put out the regular one because they're afraid they'll cannibalize their own sales?
That's an interesting one.
You know,
Like, are they just
you don't
going to
want consumers to be confused.
Yeah, are they just going to draw a line in the sand and say, this is how we're going to do our old games from now on? And all that virtual console crap you paid all that money for on your previous consoles stays on those previous consoles.
It'll end up being like the Star Wars special editions. They'll just say we're not selling the original game the way it was originally anymore.
Yeah.
They never did they?
No, not
On the
not
Star
after.
Wars ones, that is.
No,
Yeah.
nope, not really.
Well, I
Kind
think
of. You could debatably say they did throw the ones unremastered onto one of the DVD releases, but
I think I have that DVD release. I think that's
I do
the
as well.
only. I think that's the only DVD release there was that had the originals. And then I had the originals on VHS, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's do I.
And
But
then
Nintendo,
I no longer cared about Star Wars. But Nintendo,
yeah. I mean, they could just go through now and decide which stuff from their virtual console they want to remaster, and that might be the only versions you can get.
you know what? I think it's going to coexist like 3D classics.
With a little banner up in the top that says this is from this line.
Maybe, but now that I'm thinking about it, we know the Switch has a built-in NES emulator, so a standard NES ROM just plays out of the box. So, if they're going to remaster all these, then I wouldn't. Why would they have the base NES emulator in there?
I think we should tell Nintendo that to stomp out piracy, they should release every ROM of their games.
For free on the internet.
That'll be playable on Switch.
Oh yeah, on Switch only. Yeah, there you go. That would help. So are we out of topics, or do we have an eSports topic? Don't we?
Yeah, the last topic of the night. Recently, Game was bought by a company. Again, Game is the UK version of GameStop. Was bought by a company called Sports Direct. 25.75% of their shares were bought by Sports Direct. And the kind of selling point there was it was for a possible esport investment.
Selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. A sporting goods store buying a sporting good chain buying a gaming chain. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an esports tie-in there. It's possible, but it's kind of a peripheral thing. Sporting goods and games. That doesn't scream esports per se. Unless the sporting good chain is just deciding they're going to have a gaming department,
Which would be pretty weird.
That would be weird. There's no crossover, right? I'm not going to go in to buy hiking gear and pick up a set of Joy-Cons while I'm at it. That's not going to be in my mind. And I just imagine
that probably won't happen.
What probably won't happen?
I don't think they'll start carrying video game stuff or one or the other. I think it's just one of those secret things like how, Pepsi owns KFC and Taco Bell and Long John Silver's and all that. It's probably just something for them to have a stake in, and they can use it to cross-promote.
But what was the purpose? I mean, the guy that bought it, Sports Direct is his company, but he's pretty much an investor around the world. And the Game is basically like GameStop, kind of in a failing state. What is the investment point here?
Yeah,
Why-
how?
Yeah, I'm not really
purchase?
sure. Even from an eShop angle, I would figure there's not a lot of money in esports right now, except for selling video games, I guess, and selling ad revenue from streaming them.
Yeah, and I'm looking at
esports fan.
subsidiaries.
What does an esports fan go out to support the cause if he's going to Walmart that day? Or game, what does he buy to support the I'm into esports thing? You know, are there special gloves?
I'm
Well,
looking at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you've got things like, they have those specialty chairs with the brands on it and things like that,
Yeah, I guess.
TVs or monitors or whatever. But, yeah, I don't see how that mixes with sporting goods.
Well, I'm looking at Sports Direct subsidiaries, and there are many. Everlast is a subsidiary of theirs. Kangol, if you're familiar with the hats, is a subsidiary of theirs.
Sam Jackson is for sure.
Huh?
Said Sam Jackson is for sure. He wore Kangles all the time.
Oh, okay.
But see, you can see the connection there, sports and hats. That's pretty.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
mean. I'm looking through all this, and everything I'm seeing that has a recognizable name is some sort of sporting organization or clothing lines. So that all makes sense. A game store just doesn't. It's completely unlike anything else in this list that I'm seeing.
Well, esports is a sport now, so they're just getting in. They probably think they're being hip. Like when my mom figured out what Amazon was.
But do you see it getting to a point to where we're going to be walking around and seeing people wearing esports T-shirts, with a team name on it or a player name on it?
No.
I don't think we're even in the same ballpark to be thinking of those type of things.
Yeah, I think
No.
esports is as maybe as big as it's going to get. I don't know. It gets bigger every year a little bit, but I still don't think it's ever going to outgrow a small niche of people.
Yeah, it's never going to be mainstream. I just
Yeah.
don't, I can't. The only people that watch esports are people that play the games, right?
Yeah.
Does ESPN ever show esports?
Yeah,
You can
they
see
do.
lumberjack competitions.
Yeah, no,
they do.
ESPN has started jumping on the esports bandwagon, and they occasionally are carrying events. I've never watched any, but I occasionally run across an article. Oh, this is going to be on ESPN. So they're pushing it, but it seems like VR, right? It seems like all these companies see this maybe potential market out there, and they're all jumping in on it, thinking they're going to make some money. And I think it's going to be like VR, where it's always going to be a limited audience.
Oh, they're going to be so rich when it gets picked up by the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. There's never going to be Olympic video gaming. It's not going to happen.
I don't think there's ever going to be where people are going to be saying, I got to get home and watch the latest esport. Smash is on today. I got to go see what's happening.
Yeah, there's never going to be a Super Bowl or World Series or whatever that people are planted in their living rooms for an afternoon getting drunk watching it. It's just, and the other thing is football, basketball, like any sort of actual sport is something that most people can understand and probably play themselves. Right? You don't need to know anything really about basketball or even football other than a handful of basic rules that most people have grown up just picking up how baseball, football, and basketball work just through osmosis, right? It's part of the culture. Kind of everybody just kind of knows how those games work. You can't give everybody a crash course on Dota 2 or hell, StarCraft 2 or Splatoon or whatever and have them understand it well enough that they can sit down and watch it and appreciate it. Even Splatoon, it's a shooter. It's simple enough, but it's still for somebody who's not, you know what I mean? If someone who's not understanding the mechanics and not really following what's going on, they're not going to be able to unless they've played it, and they're not going to find it interesting to watch.
Who's your favorite local esports team?
The Squid Squad.
Of course.
There you go.
But
And
it's
that's
not
what it's going to get to be, right? Yeah. That's the one thing that sports has going for it, is at least even if you don't understand the base of it, you've got your regional teams and stuff that you can just be like, I guess I'm supposed to root for these guys.
Yeah.
I think I compared it earlier to bowling. It's got its followers, but they're in a certain group all to themselves, I think.
If LA has any esports teams, I'm sure they do. I'm not aware of any of them.
Because it's 4 guys sitting in a house in front of their TVs. They're not in a stadium. They're not out on the streets. Yeah.
That's true. You make a good point. If you go outside and play a sport, it's public by default, unless you're locked in a gym somewhere, right? In most cases, you're out in a field, you're outdoors. It's just public. Anybody walking by is going to see what you're doing and understand it. Even if I were to go, even if, 4 or 8 of us were to go sit in a park with our Switches and play Splatoon, people walking by are going to go, the hell are those guys doing? Right? And then just think, wow, those guys are weirdos, and keep walking. I just don't, yeah.
And with the esports, it's just 4 friends that decide to make a team. There's not like tryouts and working your way up to the big leagues or as much.
Yeah, you're right. There's no
But there is an elite skill level though of those guys at the top. It's the same people that win year after year, So I mean, it is a talent and a skill.
No, totally agreed.
Yeah.
But it's not an organization. It's in the same way that a modern sports organization is. There's no drafts. There's no spring training. There's no,
right.
You know what I mean? It's a very well-regulated setup that they have in the modern sports world. Whereas esports, it's just like these 4 dudes are a team because they made a team.
I could see it get on the sponsored level where like with skateboarding, like there's Nike has a skateboarding team that they're all on different skate companies, but they all skate those shoes. So I could see that happening where energy drinks and stuff like that start sponsoring this group of people.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, guys are wearing logoed hats and shirts and stuff. So that's already going on. There's some money to be made. It's just I'm never gonna have somebody ask me if I'm going to a Super Bowl of Smash Brothers party. It's just never gonna happen.
They had Smash Brothers. Went out to eat this weekend. They had it playing in the bar. The Smash Brothers tournament.
Yeah, that was this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a step in the right direction. Was anybody watching it?
I don't know. We weren't in the bar. We were in the dining room.
Oh, okay.
I did wonder, though. Is anyone actually watching that?
Nintendo tweeted about it. They were pretending to care about esports again.
There was one gamer that worked at that bar that argued with everybody else and insisted that they put that on the TV.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
He's got 2 buddies that come in that want to play it. Like we're having a tournament.
Well, you're saying they were running the Evo though, right? They were running the event, or were they just playing the game?
No, they were running the event on Disney Channel.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I thought they were physically there playing.
Oh, no. They were playing the tournament this weekend that was on Disney Channel. Oh. They had it playing on one of the TVs.
Did I ever mention that time in Vegas I think I won a hot dog and a drink playing Wii bowling?
No.
Yeah, it was right after the Wii came out, and it was a big thing, and just some random bar, and I don't even remember what casino. They had a Wii set up, and they some guy was on a microphone. Hey, come on, play some Wii bowling, and of course nobody could get a Wii at the time, so I immediately had a huge advantage. So it was just like, yeah, nobody knew what they were doing but me, basically. So I kind of was embarrassed to win it.
And then you ate
But
the
yeah,
hot dog with no hands.
they do that stuff, right? You know, that stuff does happen. Hopefully it happens more, especially with Switches being all portable and stuff, right?
Right.
We'll see.
Well, guys, I think it is time to wrap up for the evening. So, I guess I want to say thanks to everybody to listening in. And if you're not listening to us on YouTube, check us out on Stitcher and iTunes. Or if you're listening to us there, check us out on YouTube. And it's been fun as always, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Party on!
All right, good night.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye.